happen. Let's hop into the rift for game number 3.
소환사의 협곡에 오신 것을 환영합니다.
All right, here we go. Game 3.
미니언
We
생성까지
broke
30초
the seasonal
남았습니다.
record for lowest amount of kills in the last game. It was 6. The previous record was 11. The all-time record is 3, as we said during that last game. So I don't think we're going to break that anytime soon. I think it's very difficult to end the game with only 2 kills. So
I also think it's very hard
I just hope we get above 6.
To end the game with 3 kills, Veldes. That doesn't sound reasonable either. Ward is placed. We'll be able to track Gideon here. And when it comes to the bot lane, I do think that there is a ton of value. The one downside of this Kench specifically, even though we'll give Teddy a lot of innate safety, is that I do think that Brion actually have a lot of teamfight damage, and some of the big threats are Zaya, Zair, as well as the Renekton. And both of those are actually pretty effective, right? Zair obviously with his soldiers and his swoop, Morgan with his Q and his ultimate in teamfights. And Kench is, I think, at his best when you're playing like Vi, Akali, these type of picks that are very single target focused, have a lot of burst, but still going to give Teddy a lot of extra safety. And Teddy's play today, I think, has been good. Even in that last game, wasn't flashy by any means, but he got the job done. And that's what matters. Junglers are going to be the main difference maker here for me. We do have tracking of either of them. There is a ward on the Raptor pit for Sponge, so they know that he started at the top side of the map. Obviously, Gideon got spotted while doing his red, which means that Teddy and Bladek can actually abuse the level 1 advantage that they have. There's a range advantage for Teddy, plus the fact that Tahm Kench's level 1 is obscenely oppressive and not something that Effort and Envy really want to mess with.
Yeah, they did a good job of putting that pressure on early on here. Fleta hitting some licks already. I'm curious about the top lane to see exactly if this Renekton can have much value at all. Mid, it does seem like Setab pretty comfortable on the Akali. You can see he's already putting pressure on Akaris and looking for some aggressive trades. Can be difficult for Azir to trade back on those. Rascal did not have a fun time against Yone. As the game went along, especially. Morgan ended up at like level 18 super early on. He had 4 items. He was just dominating in the side lane. He was very tanky, so he could team fight as well. And Renekton is kind of... I'm not sure about this champ.
I am, in a bad way. And not in general. I'm not a Renekton hater, but I do think that Renekton right now just isn't in the best of spots. I don't think Sundered Sky, for example, is as good as Effort.
Oh. Well, he's Rakan, so he's fine.
And the Renekton is one thing. I don't really love it. It is comfort for Morgan. He has been able to have consistent team fight presence in the past, so that's something that hopefully Bro can rely on. What I do want to highlight, though, is that even though we are collectively, I think, in agreement that Corki is definitely the way to go in this matchup, because Corki in general is absolutely ludicrous, and if all 2 of your previous games have come down to stalemates, maybe getting the best poke character in the game would have been good. But
no,
Setab actually does go way back, like has had amazing Akali games in Challengers over the last couple of years, and it also is a good matchup into specifically Azir. We already saw that in game number 1 today. And I also don't think there's as much safety for Brion. Obviously, Envy has his ultimate, but that alone isn't going to be enough as that Permafrost synergy.
Oh, well, it only works if you auto him. There you go. If he did it.
They could have committed to that a bit more.
No, that is too scary, Chronicler.
I guess.
Don't force them to do something they don't want to do.
Yeah, they don't know where Gideon is, so they didn't want to get caught in a 2v2. Losing that 2v2 would be potentially game-ending, so it's understandable. It does mean the wave state is a little bit rough, but then, as I say, that Morgan dashes in, and great trade, but does mean that the wave state is going to be a little tough. That play from Sponge does relieve some of the pressure, as Setab does not have a Shroud. Normally, when you go that aggressive into some soldiers, you do, so it does take a decent beating, but he does still have teleport available. And post 6, this matchup obviously tilts heavily towards the Akali. That's really what Satep is looking for.
Yeah, unfortunately for him, he's not clearing the minions to hit 6. And he is taking quite a beating still.
About.
He's almost there. Should get it off of like 3 more melees, maybe. There it is. And that's going to mean that Karus will back away. Morgan is doing the Void Bubs.
Actually utilizing his ult there. And this is kind of cute. Because of his empowered W, he's able to kill the shield. So he actually kills these very, very quickly. So, well done. AoE of Dominus also means that you don't take too much damage there. So that's before his first back as well. As Satep isn't caught shopping. So nice little win for Breon there. Might have been a predetermined strategy that only a Renekton connoisseur such as Morgan would think of.
Yeah, he just gets it. Teddy just take a big chunk as Pleta goes in right onto the chompers. We got Sponge here, but Gideon as well. 3-on-3. And Effort being slowed down quite a bit. Has to run away from this one with his flash, but I don't know if he's going to be able to get it. He does get a W. Oh, that flash lick is insane as Pleta. Unbelievable. This guy can carry on anything.
Very nicely done there. As, a play on Karus?
A Aatrox skink?
Okay, well, it is Azir, so he dashes out. But, big win there. Doesn't go to Jinx, which obviously would have been the best case scenario, but it still puts the Breon bot lane on the back foot. Assist for Teddy, still going to be big. And Plata going to be a little bit tankier in these ensuing fights. And early lead here for DRX coming out.
Yeah, it's going to feel pretty good. This mid lane continuing to go well for Satep after he TP's back. Has that alternator up and running. Looking for those chunky trades, as you do. Top lane, you can see that Rascal, he has fallen behind pretty far in terms of CS. It is pushing into him, but yeah, it's not easy. Even with some help from Sponge that one time, if you can call that help. Yeah, it's not going to have a fun time in that side lane. But at least it's not Yone, I suppose.
It's not. And whereas Yone is also capable of, I think, winning this matchup for basically indefinitely, I do think it gets better for the Aatrox. Once you get max points in Q, as... I actually wouldn't have minded if Satep tried to look for a little bit more there, but there is a decent amount of vision available, so don't know if he could have really gotten an angle. As we take another look at this, and it's Effort going in just a little bit too far. Also uses both Battle Dance and W, or rather, Battle Dance is back afterwards, meaning that he is the one trying to tank for Envy here. Doesn't actually have a reliable way of getting out anymore, even given that Zyrakan has so much innate safety. No root is found, and then Pleta with the flash lick really big there. You see Effort last minute trying to get behind those minions. Not going to be the case.
I think there was a rocket in flight, but maybe it wouldn't have killed him.
Yeah, I think the play from Pleta was correct there. I don't... Because Teddy also hadn't backchat, I think, at that point. And even if he did with just the long swords, I don't know if that would have been enough. And guaranteeing the kill was more important than running the risk of it not going over. And for Breon, that by itself, not really cause for great concern, but definitely not the start that you're looking for. As I would love it if DRX tried to use this bot side prio to play towards a dragon, but Gideon is continuously in the area, and that might be enough of a deterrent.
Yeah. It almost feels like the junglers are living down here after the early game. Just wanting to get some pressure on the streak. And, you know, will they actually use that pressure to take down the objective?
Pressure is a tool in of itself. We just need to think further into the future, Valdez.
Okay, well, Gideon's going to go in there. Gets the Scuttle Crab. He's going to make this happen as Morgan is here. And now Sponge, he is flashless. He is dashless. Oh, actually, he does get over the wall, but he's not getting away for very long. But down he will go. Morgan picks up the kill with a nice little Renekton play.
And it's a roam of Lord Morgan. Doesn't have TP, doesn't care, just walks down, really catches DRX off guard. Sponge is very far up, thinking that in the matchup he has an advantage as, oh, they're going in.
The rocket blocked. Smite is...
Are they going in?
Zaya? Okay, we're going in onto this one. There is the gobble up onto Effort, and down he will go. That's the trade, I suppose, as the kill is handed over to Satab, but the Infernal Drake goes to Bro.
And that is, I think, going to be a slight win for DRX. The Drake going over is rough, but we have a good Drake on the docket with Camtech already being taken out of the equation. It also equalized a lot of Rascal's disadvantage. Even though the gold, I don't think, is going to get a lot better. Rascal was really far behind in experience as well. The one plate is going to mitigate, and the CS disadvantage isn't as big as it was. So the Sky Dun is going to be really nice for Morgan, but because of that kill on Effort, I do think that DRX are going to take it, and it means that they do maintain the gold advantage.
Yeah. Sponge gonna get to work here on the I almost called them the Scuttle Crabs, but no, they're the Void Bubs, official name. And yeah, gonna take them all down. So we're just gonna trade 3 for 3. It's not gonna be like game 1 where I believe Bro had a bunch and we're able to push in the side lanes with those. Teddy is I thought maybe he was alone, but he does have Pleta nearby. Just farming it out. No objectives at the moment.
We have also reached unprecedented levels of fighting already in this game, which I think is really exciting. Very nicely done here by Bro. Super straightforward play. They're up a member. They know that there's no teleport available for Rascal, so going in really hard on this, particularly with Renekton, is a great choice.
Sponge could have flashed towards the Tom Kench.
Yeah, I think they were afraid of the zoning, but that would have definitely saved them. However, fortunately for DRX, they're still able to find a play here, as Effort does get gobbled up. I do think, though, that they could have also just kept going and tried another play and extended that because the health bars were so low and Satab still had his second dash available, but they didn't want to run the risk. And as a result, we now have still Teddy and Pleta doing a good job of keeping this pressure up towards the top side of the map. And that gold lead, to me, really is the biggest one. The 500 for Morgan, that's nice. But Satab sitting already on 700. In a side lane, he's going to be really hard to match. I think Morgan might be okay, especially if he builds some MR, but that's going to hurt his Aatrox matchup. And Karis is not having a good time. And that's not going to get better.
Already. Yeah, exactly. The more items Satab gets, the less the Azir is going to be able to do, because the kill pressure will just go up and up and up. And although, you know, in an extended fight, if the Akali misses everything, perhaps then you could win, but not quite going to happen. Sponge is about to find an angry Croc in the bush. Here's Rascal as well, though, trying to turn it onto Morgan, but Sponge is taking too much damage, and down he will go. Morgan, another play as he hides on bush. And now Rascal here, he's got Satab. That's a big rocket of damage as in goes Satab into that back line. They already take out Morgan, and Karis is going to be second. And Gideon is left to the Wolves here as well. Does not have flash. That'll be 3 kills now for DRX. Can they get any more? Doesn't look like it, but a nice turnaround here from DRX.
And DRX starting to pull ahead in this game number 3. Actually playing towards the Akali seems to be working out for them very nicely, but to me the main difference maker has been Pleta. So big on these plays, actually saves it here as well, keeps his Akali alive. And Sponge ends up going down, but you always have to be really careful. I think the previous example was a really good example of a kill on a tank that is worth it, because they knew there wasn't a risk of a fight because they were a member up. But here, look at how much is invested just to kill Sponge, right? Maokai ult already used. We have the Dominus already used, and they actually took a pretty decent amount because Rascal has just been able to play without too much of a bother. And then the moment that actual reinforcements arrive, fight is already lost. Satab gets to do a ton of damage here. The Azir doesn't really do that much at this point with only Nasher's done. And that is going to be the Herald also going over to DRX. 2 kills for Rascal, also completely obliterate the gold lead that was there for Morgan, which is one of the win conditions that Bro had set up for themselves. And Satab, again, this Akali is going to be something that's really hard to deal with. And even if they do, I don't know what the gold lead is. I'm sure Teddy is still sitting on, like, I don't know, 900 gold. We're starting to run out of options for Bro here.
Yeah, that's the issue. I mean, there's just a lot of threats, right? It's not like you're running a comp that they had in the last game where it's like you've got this Orianna and you've got, you know, not that much consistent damage. You don't have reliable engage. This time it's like you've got 3 different types of damage dealers. You have a Sejuani at least to throw in an ult, and you have a lot of ways to get on in there. And as you mentioned, Rascal pretty happy to take fights at this point. He is going to get rooted up a couple of times now as he is being chased, but will he care as the Aatrox just gobbled up here by Pleta, getting in position, gets spit right back out into 4 people as he decides to do that. And now the damage, though, is coming in. Nice rocket here from Teddy as he has a very strong front line as well. And Morgan, he's just going to be left alone this time around. As one by one the dominoes fall, and they'll give this kill over to Teddy for the double. And now he is on the board.
And second time in a row, the plan of sacrifice frontline, win ensuing fight is working out here for DRX. This time it's Rascal that's the sacrificial lamb. And I think they knew as well the moment that Pleta went for that. That bite. Good flash force though from Effort. That's something that you're going to be very happy about. But it's somewhat mitigated by the fact that Tom Kench exists within this game, right? And alone, that's not enough of a win. Now another dragon. It's going to go the way of DRX. Teddy's going to get the first turret of the game. As we take another look here, and throwing everything into this level 11 Aatrox actually is deceptively tanky. And it's the same story where, yes, they're eventually able to kill him, but Pleta buys so much time that it doesn't really matter. Pleta and Sponge do a decent amount of damage, and then at this point, with Teddy arriving, you see sort of efforts just like, guys, what are we doing? Are we going in? Are we backing out? I think they just had to like hard commit, try and do something before the Akali shows up. But because Akali is so far ahead, like that's also not going to work.
진성이죠. 나이스.
Give it to Teddy. Give it to Teddy, you said. And they did. The Jinx has 2 kills. And by the way, if that fight broke out for any longer, if that was like a longer fight, Seitab was going to be there first.
Oh, no, he was. Because he is super far ahead.
Yeah, and Karnas is just here. He's like, oh, I blind picked Azir. I thought this is unbeatable. Right? No.
And
and there were a lot of other picks they could have gone for as well.
and I find these situations hard to deal with because you gotta imagine the teams are able to make the same observations that we are, right? Rascal.
Nice sweep at least. Gonna buy some time here for Cars, but an ult is right on target as Sponge. Just gonna sponge him up in the top side. And down will go Chorus.
Yeah, so as I was saying, in defense of Azir, unfortunate timing, but going to follow through with it nonetheless, is that when you get to this point, I think every player is just completely lacking any form of confidence, which is why the games have played out the way that they have. And it's understandable that as a coach, you'd be like, you know what? We are going to put you on comfort, and then hopefully that's enough. But it's just not. It's just not enough. And right now, Teddy, who doesn't feel like the focal point of this game at all, this is a 2.3k gold lead. That's a 2k gold lead. Jinx! Valdez! 2k?
Yeah. This ult is really nice.
He got sponged, man. He got sponged.
What he does. Sponge is just going to sponge them. And there's no counterplay. Struggled a bit in the last game, but you talked about comfort. I mean, certainly Sponge loves his Sejuani. And he was first picked it here in this game, so...
That's
doing a good job.
Yeah, that's the flip side, right? Like, we talked about comfort, but Sponge is B1ing Sejuani, and Seitab is playing Akali, whereas Corki was open. So it goes both ways, and I think it's always important to remember that. But yeah, the Azir specifically, also taking into account the context of what we have seen and how much this pick has struggled. And even domestically, our best Azir players are just not able to replicate big level plays with it anymore consistently. And we're so used to it in the LCK. Basically been meta for, I don't know, what, last 3 years?
Forever.
Yeah, mini rework. There was a couple of years there where it was
since
like
the dawn of time.
Yeah, and then when you go back before that again, it was just Azir Corki as far back as your time loop goes.
Yeah. It goes back pretty far in this case.
It does.
Here's the Baron. Hello.
Hello.
There you go. Nice little bowling alley. Need to add some entertainment, you know. we're beginning to see this game take shape the way we expected it to. That ult's not great, but if he had caught him in midair, man, that would have been really cool.
Would have been dope.
Yeah.
I would have loved that.
You just get some chompers down and he's dead. I mean, he's just a Rakan who rushed Mikhail's, so...
Every time that happens, he's just a Rakan. I have to think of that Corky threat about him just being a Yordle in a stupid Yordle in an airplane. He's just a stupid Yordle in a plane.
Yeah.
Fellas, I think I need to reevaluate. I'm actually happy that we didn't see the Corky, because we can look at it as like, why didn't you pick Corky? But we can also be grateful, thinking they didn't pick Corky.
I just want the teams to pick the right champs, you know?
No, Valdez, I'm coping, man.
The ones that make
Come
sense,
on.
please. Yeah. Well, we have Lichbane here for Satam. Satam's been getting more and more popular, and it's certainly very good on certain champs. We saw it on Gragas, actually, recently, and that was great.
Willer, yeah. He
did some big boom boom.
Very well.
It feels very good on Akali. Obviously, you know, you're not really going to do too much to the tanks, but as we can see, there's not a whole lot of MR that's been built just yet. So if you can go like third item Void Staff or Crypt Bloom or something, should be okay. And for now, in the super fed state that he's in, he is going to be one comboing Chorus and Envy and Effort, essentially.
Yeah.
So don't mind it, personally.
No. I personally think that, particularly if you want to be doing all the side laning, the extra damage helps take down turrets as well. Obviously, Storm Surge is good, but honestly, when you're this far ahead of the curve, as you were saying, I think you one-tap everyone that you want to one-tap anyway, so it doesn't matter as much. The Ocean Dragon, as we have mentioned, Ocean Soul, not the best. Gonna feel great with specifically Rascal. Maybe Sponge if he goes for Warmox in a way that the Warmox actually activates. That could be good, you know? Amp that up even more.
It's hard to do that now.
Yeah.
By those elixirs of iron.
That we actually sold that. I remember that.
Yeah, it was yesterday. Well, ult's going to be thrown out for some reason. Just trying to prevent them from taking the turret. I guess it is going to work. From Gideon, I mean. He just throws out the ult and he says no.
And for DRX, they're happy as well because they got a teleport out of the Azir. So it's a win-win, truly. Which we all know don't exist really in League of Legends. Ascara's going for Void Staff second. And I don't love it. I think that Void Staff is still a really good third item. I think there are situations if you're playing into like double frontline can be good. But here, particularly given that Aatrox isn't building any MR because he's playing into Morgan, I would have much rather have Leandris, which also does a great job of shredding through tanks.
Yeah.
Without having to give up. Obviously, Void Staff is going to scale really well. So that optimism is great. That is valuable. Don't give me that look. Don't give me that look, Valdez.
Understanding that the game is going to go 8 years. This is a nice little flip into the turret. Now Satam's in some trouble, but he's Akali. So he will be able to get away here. Doesn't even have to flash, but it's getting a little bit dicey.
Hey, and that's the upside. He is doing almost true damage with the Sword Pen Boots as well as Void Staff. So I'm feeling good about that at least. And this mid lane turret is still standing. The problem is that once Teddy hits his third item, which I assume will be rapid fire, I do think things are going to get considerably worse for the bros. Because it will give a lot of extra poke damage, which is going to force them to engage. And they are sitting at a pretty substantial deficit as we do have a trap is being set. As Aphra just walks past the trap and just gets free vision in the Baron pit.
Yeah, as you do.
As one does.
You know, he was a little bit far away. A nice new Baron pit helping out with that as another ult going to be traded here.
Ooh,
that was right on target.
Nicely done.
Yeah.
That's big. Maybe that's enough for them to decide to start pushing this mid lane and getting a turret. I'm not going... No, Baron. That's too much. That's too much, man.
No, you can't do that. No.
That's not allowed.
All right, let's see it.
There it is.
Fire cannon.
The poke.
RFC.
The range.
Yep. And now, in certain situations, Some champs like NV, who doesn't quite have the range, won't just be able to freely farm. If Teddy's there, he's going to get poked away, he's going to be pushed out, and it's going to just add even more pressure in this mid lane, probably, you would imagine, with the AD carries at this point. I like the Snoop Pit because you can never fully deny vision, it feels like. Whee! Which, you know what that means, especially for our weaker teams, is that nobody does Baron. But
that's a risk, Velda.
Yeah. Because they might have vision.
Everyone knows League of Legends is a game about risk management. Can't take too many risks. Gotta make sure that the risks that you take are calculated, not too spooky.
Not too spooky.
And that you don't take really any of them is the takeaway from this series. Yeah.
Karus is the one person that can match poke with Teddy. He's doing a pretty good job of that. Although ult is going to come through. Up on the top side, MV is going to have to get Mikhails on that one. And he doesn't have his ult quite yet, but in goes Satab, nearly dies, gets devoured. And with that shield is going to survive. That was pretty deep in there. And Envy, I mean, he didn't even have his ult, but he got it right at the end as well. That was very risky.
Little dicey there from Satab. Wants to make the big play. Yet again, showing that going for risky plays won't get you anywhere in this game of League of Legends. Rascal finding Gideon. Oh, I don't know, going back in there. But Rascal doesn't hit the Q sweet spot on the Q3, so Gideon does get to walk away with his life. But Satab did get devoured. Plata, really crisp timing there yet again. And should be still enough here for DRX to take control of the pit, because they still can't match Satab, even though his back was unfortunately not that great because was forced to back, sitting on these items before as well. And with the side lane shoving, they should be able to at the very least set up the threat of a flank. There's no Devour right now, so maybe Bro was looking for that, but then they actually do need to commit because side is not looking good, and in the longer trades, Teddy is going to poke you down.
And they are kind of paralyzed right now. They don't really know what to do. They're just going to go for an engage here onto Rascal, who is just kiting them away into their own jungle towards Satab and saying, okay, if you want to go on me, I'm going to bring my buddy over as well. And Satab is just so scary. He's getting in there. And now Morgan and everybody's just routed. They're all just having to run away. Somehow they all get away, which probably shouldn't have happened, but a lot of flashes blown there on the side of Bro just to survive. A couple of them going as, ooh, that was pretty close.
The amount of zaps and super mega death rockets that have just been fired into the ether. But DRX show us again. Don't need to get kills to get objectives. Soul points picked up here by Sponge and Rascal as the attempted collapse on the Aatrox not actually working out. And the gold lead remains at a steady 4.1k.
Yeah, just hanging around at that level. We are going to have a death cap here eventually for Satab. And still no Void Staff. I guess he'll go 4th item Void Staff.
You did see there as well that his damage to the front line isn't actually going to be as big as you might otherwise want, but it also means that Karus, Envy, and Effort will pop to an extreme degree. A Sponge.
Knock up on a Sponge here. He is very tanky. I mean, look at this. Not really doing too much, and they just turn it out to Gideon. He just gets blown up. There's no committal. They say, oh, Sponge doesn't deal. He doesn't take damage. Now he's taking some damage, but the Devourer was always there. And with TP coming in and a knock up here from Plata, it is pretty huge. Effort trying his best, but nothing they can do. Karus puts up the wall, and that doesn't do anything. As down goes Morgan, and Rascal is still on the chase. They will get away, but this should be Baron for DRX.
And it's Paletta again with a crisp chomp there. Finds his buddy Sponge.
Crispy.
Eats him up. We go back to the Apple conversation later on. I'm sure Kench has some choice thoughts on that. But crucially, even with Sponge missing the re-engage onto Envy, the moment that they try to go for that kill with Plata there, you already knew it's just not going to happen. Teddy is just free-firing the whole time. And the target selection from Brion in this game, unfortunately, remains less than ideal. As we look here, a lot of damage. This is fine if this is just Sponge. But look at Teddy. He's just standing there behind a rock, free firing. Sponge, obviously, even if you do hit that Q there, I don't think that necessarily sets up the play, but it doesn't matter because Plata's there, eats him up, gets the knock up. I don't even know. I think so. What happened there in Karis' defense? I think he was trying to preemptively predict Satap going in with the E and then counter that. But it did look rather unfortunate. Now the Red Bull Baron power play coming through. 10 to 3. Soul point in about 2.5 minutes. Or Soul rather in about 2.5 minutes. And I think DRX are looking to be the team to finally get that first win between these two.
Yeah, and, you know, DRX was the overwhelming favorite in terms of the analyst predictions. There was one person on the Korean side, Coco, who did go for Brion. But it was closer than I thought it was going to be. I mean, this game isn't over, but there is certainly a pretty overwhelming lead right now for DRX. Can they close it out from here? They're feeling pretty confident. Teddy is on Jinx, and now he's going to just force an ult from Envy. This is what I was talking about. In a 1v1 situation where Teddy's able to poke, the Xayah just sits there and dies. He doesn't really have any function.
And we can't do anything about this either, right? Like, that's the problem. That's just a matchup thing. Teddy at this point is just going to take over the game. And all the gold that was invested in him early works out very, very nicely.
Yeah.
Look at those autos!
Gonna come out, and the autos are getting pretty overwhelming. Again, Karis the only one to match, and will chunk down Teddy quite a bit. Down on the bottom side, right as the mid lane is crashing. Very nicely done by the side of DRX on their push. It's the way you got to do it if you want to be as efficient and clean as possible. You got to tighten those waves up. And they have Teddy for the siege, essentially. Everybody else can just provide a front line, and he's just there shelling everything. If it's a turret, if it's a champion, he doesn't care. He'll take it out. And that is 2 inhibitors that will go down here into the pockets of DRX.
The Fountain Laser fighting freely, knowing that Plata has his back no matter what. Locket's done on this Kench. Plata has been keeping... did he even eat Teddy at any point? I know he's eaten Rascal, Sponge, and Satap. I don't think Teddy has actually been threatened. This is the ADC's dream game, where you're just sitting there and they're going on other targets and you're like, I'm right here. You can't ignore me.
They're disrespecting him by not trying to take him out. And Teddy is about to have a full inventory of completed items.
Yeah, he's already pretty strong, I would say. But it's about to get worse.
It is.
For Bro. And it's rough. You know, both teams are 0-3. This win is the one that is going to sting the most, particularly with how the series has played out.
Right on Bush.
Trap.
You see how many question mark pings are there?
I think
from the blue team.
I think they have an inkling.
I think they know. Yeah. And Sponge, just walk into them. It takes a lot of damage actually from Envy. Jesus. Envy does have some nice damage of his own. Rascal's going to be pushed away. He's not in this fight, and it's taken by Gideon, who will take the objective bounty, so no Ocean Soul just yet.
Look at the waves. They can play this slow.
Yeah, he's being kited out. Morgan's just left to the fishes, and down he will go. And here is Rascal. He's going to be isolated. He is Aatrox, though, and does get away. It's now on the flash. Teddy not going to hit that zap. Desperate for the engage is DRX. But it doesn't look like they're quite going to get on top of this team. Satap is very fast. He's got that Lich Bane sprinting at them. Teddy's done 9,000 damage in one fight! And Satap finally finds an enemy champion. And that should finally be the nail in the coffin on the series, I believe. Satap threatening the flank. There is a little bit of a wave as Karis. That is a bit of a sweep as well, but he immediately goes down as he does not get Teddy, and that's going to do it, guys. Down will go Envy, and that will be game number 3 going into the hands of DRX as they take the 2-1 victory over Brion tonight.
And it was a hard-fought effort, but in the end, DRX is able to get their first victory here. already got a match win, or rather a game win, now able to add an actual series to their record as well. And stand out for me today, the bot lane. Yet again, Plata and Teddy. Teddy returning to his fountain laser glory.
They should just do this every game.
Yeah.
Just do this and pick Corki instead. I mean, I can't really say that in this game because the Akali worked out really well.
Seta played well.
But against better teams, I think, just pick up the Corki and you've got Jinx and you just scale and you rely on Teddy just like all of his old teams used to. Outside of, I suppose, the T1 days.
Looking happy. Oh, the Brion camps. I was worried about these. That's going to sting. Still unable. Sponge.
Was Sponge doing the faker?
I don't know.
I know there was that commercial he did where it's like, please turn off the light.
I don't know.
Where he like blocks the light.
And let's not forget, this is Sponge's first series win. For Satan, I'm not sure. I remember that he filled in last year. I don't know if he got just a game win because he did get POG or series win. But for Sponge, I am very certain. Plata. And I know that the damage numbers were that, but to me, Plata in the final game,
yeah,
he was my POG.
He was excellent. And
give it away already. And
give it a whale.
Give it away.
Yeah. To be honest,
that game took a lot out of us, Valdez.
This bot lane, if Teddy continues to play really well in late game scenarios, they are very strong. Now they will have to get through lane, and it's not going to be as easy against some strong opponents, but maybe they can cook something up here. Just try to play for that bottom lane, get some reliable lanes elsewhere, and put Sponge on Sejuani every single game, and maybe you got something going.
And against the top teams, we can all see that today the decisive